Hello everyone, this is Magic with Class. I'm Jeremy Class, and it looks like that spoiler season for Commander Legends has started a little early. There have been quite a number of, I guess you would call them leaks, where they revealed some new cards that are going to be in the set, as well as some of the older reprints that are going to be in the set. I'm not gonna really talk about the reprints. I'm gonna wait, I guess, until the official spoilers come out before I talk about what I think about what reprints they put in. So I'm just gonna talk about some of the newer cards that I've seen, and I think the first one that everyone is really talking about um, is the Planeswalker with partner, the mono black one, and I think his name is Teves Zot, Doom of Fools, maybe. So for four of any color and one black, so five in total, you have a legendary Planeswalker, Zat, with a partner. He starts with 4 loyalty, and he has 3 abilities, so he's a pretty traditional Planeswalker. The first ability is pretty good. It's a +2, and he creates 2/0/1 black Thrall creature tokens. So black is fairly good at producing tokens. Usually, token production is more of a white or green thing, but I think that probably the color that produces tokens the third best would probably be black. And a lot of token decks that will use black and white together will use cards like Lingering Souls or Spectral Procession. So it's not out of like the realm of possibility to see a black token deck or a black and white token deck. This one is unusual because it creates Thrall creature tokens. And I don't think they've made Thralls in quite some time. So there are cards in Fallen Empires that specifically work with Thralls, including the reserve list Thrall Champion. So I think the first ability is not only is it interesting, I think it's actually going to impact the reserve list, and this is not something that I've heard other channels or anyone really talking about specifically. So the price of Fallen Empires is going up. A lot of the cards in Fallen Empires, the prices are climbing. A lot of people are trying to get sealed product of Fallen Empires. One of the cards that I think is going to skyrocket as a result of this spoiler is a card called Thrall Champion, which is actually a Lord for Thralls. It's 5 mana, it gives Thralls +1/+1, and it also, I think, taps to allow you to take control of the Thrall. So with this card producing Thralls each turn, I definitely would consider throwing Thrall Champion in that deck. And when we get to the ultimate on this legendary Planeswalker, I will talk a little more about Thrall Champion and why I think it fits very thematically well within this deck. So the second ability is actually a +1. So the first ability is a +2. This is a +1. So you're working towards this Planeswalker's ultimate. So the +1 is you may sacrifice another creature or a Planeswalker. If you do, you draw 2 cards. And if the card you sacrificed was a commander, either a legendary Planeswalker or a legendary creature commander, you draw an additional card. So if you activate the +1 and you sacrifice a commander, including himself, this allows him, I believe, to sacrifice himself, you would draw 3 cards. So I really like how the first and the second ability tie into each other. That's actually really cool. So you can summon this guy on turn 5, create 2 Thralls, then maybe block with one on the next turn. You sacrifice one of the Thralls, and then you draw 2 cards, which is pretty good in mono black. So his ultimate is a -10, so 6, 8, 10. It would take you three activations of his +2 to get there. So the 4th turn after this comes out, you can activate his ultimate, barring other shenanigans. And it's actually quite a unique ultimate. It gains controls of all commanders on the field, and then it puts all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. I don't think any card has ever done this, where you're going to take control of your opponent's commanders that are in the command zone, and it puts them on your battlefield. So right away, that this card is pretty interesting. This card actually also has partner. So alone, I think this is a very good card. The fact that you can pair it with any other card with partner in the game makes it that much better. And while I'm talking about the ultimate, the reason why I said this, the ultimate fits in with the theme of Throw Champion, is because Throw Champion takes control of cards, and that's not it's not often you see black cards with the ability to take control of your opponent's things. That's usually blue or red. But not only does this commander and this planeswalker do it by letting you take control of your opponent's commanders, but Throw Champion also allows you to take control of your opponent's throws. So maybe you could work in a theme where you're changing your opponent's creature types, or maybe you have an opponent who uses a lot of changelings. That could be pretty interesting. So I really do think Throw Champion, which is a reserve list cards from Fallen Empire, and other reserve list cards that explicitly mention thralls. I'm not sure if there's any others. But in Fallen Empires, there are a few cards that do call out thralls or give you benefits for sacrificing thralls. I think the value of those types of cards will go up. So I'm looking forward to running this card as my commander. I'm not sure who I would partner this card with. However, as soon as I get my hands on this card, I will be doing a deck tech surrounding this card. What the partner will be, I'm not sure. I'm waiting to see some of the other cards that will be spoiled. But I'm very interested in this card as a commander. I think it's very strong. Especially the fact that you can pair it with another planeswalker or a legendary creature. It could be either or, as long as they have partner and can be your commander. So the next planeswalker that can also be your commander and also has partner is Jessica Thrice Reborn, or Thrice Born. And let me give you the disclaimer now. These cards were leaked in a different language, so the names and the text is not going to be completely accurate. There's going to be, maybe the wording will be slightly off. Maybe the names will be a little different. So these are just very close approximations to the names and to the text that's going to exist on the card. But since there's no official rulings yet, and some of these cards look to have unique effects that have never been in the game, I may make ruling mistakes, or sometimes they just rule things in a non-intuitive way. So I'm just throwing that out there right now. So the second card is Jessica Thrice Reborn, and Jessica's an interesting character. The reason why she's called like Thrice Born or Thrice Reborn is because she was actually three, I guess, different people throughout her life. She was Jessica, who was originally a mono red legendary creature that pings. Her brother was Kamal, who was also originally mono red, and then over time he became mono green, and he actually has two legendary creatures. And in the new Dominaria set that came out not that long ago, he has a legendary sorcery bearing his name. So this is his sister. So anyway, she's called Thrice because she was Jessica, who had a latent spark, which is why she's a planeswalker on this card. She was also Phage the Untouchable, another very popular legendary creature, although it's not often played in Commander. And finally, she was Corona the False God. So she was, at one point, three different people, and I believe she sacrificed herself during Time Spiral to close one of the rifts, and I believe that's how I could be wrong. But anyway, onto her effect. So she costs 3 in total, 2 of anything and 1 red. And this has quite a unique effect too. So she has no loyalty. She has 0 loyalty on the bottom right box, but when she enters the battlefield, she gets a loyalty for each commander, for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone during this game. So since she has partner, if you cast whatever you partner with her with 3 times, and then you cast her. That'll be the 4th time you cast a commander. So she would come into play with 4 loyalty. She has no way to gain loyalty beyond what she enters the battlefield with. So she's useless in every format pretty much except for commander. So I think that's going to affect her price. I don't think she's going to be a particularly. I don't think she's going to be as expensive as some of the other cards in this set, only because she's 100% exclusive to commander. She's never really going to see any competitive play in Legacy or Vintage. You could technically play her with tricks that cards that put loyalty counters on her, but just a lot of hoops for what she does. And while she's pretty good as a commander, especially one with partner, I don't think she's great. I think the other guy, the mono black planeswalker, was much better. Anyway, her effect is 0. Choose a creature until your next turn. If it deals combat damage to an opponent, it does triple that damage. So basically, she's a planeswalker that does not protect herself. She's reliant on you having a creature on the battlefield, and she's reliant on that creature being able to deal damage to an opponent. So I would say that's a lot of conditions to make her good. Although tripling damage is excellent, and if the card has double strike, it does like ×6 damage. So maybe in a deck specifically focusing on double strike, this would be decent. Anyway, she has another ability, -X. You choose the value of X based on her loyalty. And she does X damage to each of up to 3 targets. So if I -2, she does 2 damage to up to 3 creatures, planeswalkers, or opponents. Not bad. I just don't think you're ever going to get her loyalty high enough for that ability to do a significant amount of damage. But there you go. So the next legendary creature that I'm seeing that's brand new to this set is called Lyessa of Flight Penumbra. So I think this card, flavor-wise, is the black-white angel from the Innistrad story that they they mentioned, but never actually, we never actually saw her in the story because she died before, I think, the events of original Innistrad. So a lot of fans have been asking for a legendary creature based around, I guess, what has been told about her. So I guess here she is. She's black-white. All the other angels on Innistrad, the 3 other main angels that control flights are white-blue, and white-green, and white-red, and Avacyn was mono-white. So this was the white-black angel, I guess, to complete that cycle. I guess, kind of a broken cycle. So anyway, she costs 5. She costs 2 anything, 2 white, and 1 black for a total of 5, and she's an angel. Her first ability, again, has never actually been done. It's completely unique to this card. And I guess it's really hard to translate it, so the exact translation is off. But basically, instead of paying the commander tax for every time you would pay the commander tax, you would instead pay 2 life. So if it's the second time you're casting your commander, instead of paying 2 mana, you can pay 2 life. If it's your third time, instead of paying 4 mana, you can pay 4 life instead. And I think this ability activates from the command zone, but again, there is no ruling yet, so I could be wrong. This creature does not have partner, so you cannot use this ability to cast a card with partner because you cannot partner with this card. She doesn't have partner. But anyway, it's a 5/5 flying lifelink, which is pretty good for the cost. And whenever a player casts a spell, you gain 2 life. So whenever you cast a spell, whenever your opponent casts a spell, whenever anyone casts a spell, you will gain 2. So that ability will fuel her ability to pay life in order to cast her over and over and over from the command zone. What I think is that when she's on the field, let's say you put her in the 99 of your deck instead of having to use her as a commander, I do not think that her ability while on the battlefield will allow you to cast other commanders from the command zone for life. But I could be wrong, but I think this just works for herself when she's in the command zone. This is interesting. I really wanted this card to have partner though. I think this card would have been so much cooler if it had partner, but maybe the effect would have just been too broken. So the next card I'm seeing is a rare. It's non-legendary, not a legend. 3 of anything and 2 black for a total of 5, and it's a zombie elf. So this is interesting. It's a mono black elf. It's also a zombie though. Has death touch. It's a 3/3. So whenever it dies, non-elf creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. So I guess you would use this card with a lot of like the Lauren elves, a lot of which were mono black. So that's not particularly interesting. It's the other ability. Even the other ability it has isn't interesting, but it's keyworded. So this is the first example we're getting of this keyword. Or ability word, I'm not sure. So it's Encore. For 7, you can exile this card from your graveyard, and the non-elf creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. So basically it looks like Encore is just, you're going to be able to reuse the card's death trigger from the graveyard. They will probably all have death triggers, it seems like. So basically it lets you copy the ability from your graveyard after you've used it once while it was, I guess, on the battlefield. Well, it's interesting. We'll see if we'll see what Encore does. It's basically flashback, right? But for creatures, I guess. So the next card is Tormod the Grave Robber. So I guess this is where we get like Tormod's crypt from. So I know this guy. So for 3 of anything and 1 black, so for 4 mana in total, you get a 4/2. This legendary creature does have partner. It's a zombie wizard. And whenever 1 or more card leaves your graveyard, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. So the first thing I thought of when I saw this card was, oh, this works very well with Delve. And there were a lot of interesting black Delve cards. However, I do not like the fact that for any number of cards you exile, you only get 1 2/2 zombie, and it has to be tapped. So if you, let's say you exile 5 cards from a graveyard at the same time, you would only get 1 of the token. I would much rather it reward you for exiling multiple cards with multiple zombies, but you know, it does have partner, so you could pair it with the other, with the planeswalk, the mono black planeswalker, I guess. Well, you could pair it with anything, but I don't know what would work with as a partner for this card. I guess as they reveal more partners, maybe I'll see something that will work really well with this. So the next card I'm seeing, and I'm about to, I guess this will be one of the last cards that I talk about. There are more. However, it's already getting into like 18 minutes, but I'm just going to mention this one other mechanic. This is a returning mechanic, and this is an example of that returning mechanic. It's Court of Plenty. For 2 of anything and 2 green, so 4 in total, you get a rare enchantment. And when this card enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. So Monarch is back. Monarch is pretty popular with a subset of players. I don't particularly like Monarch because it's a lot of bookkeeping for the remainder of the game, because you have to, because Monarch constantly switches from player to player. So you have to make sure that you remember who's the Monarch. However, this is a pretty good card with Monarch, because not only does being the Monarch allow you to draw, it has another ability attached to it that cares about you being the Monarch. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So that always works. So it's an additional land drop for, I don't know, land full decks. Zendikar Rising is still in everyone's mind, so people may play it in that. But if you are the Monarch at the beginning of your upkeep, instead of just playing a land card from your hand, you can choose to play any creature from your hand, which is pretty good in mono green. So there are some more cards I do want to talk about in the upcoming days. Oh, you know what? One more. Techic Scrap Splicer. I like the Splicer cards from Scars of Morodin. If you don't know, the Splicer cards were a set of cards in all 5 colors that allowed you to put a golem into play, and then they were like lords for golems. And that's what this card is. It's kind of weird that this one is green. There were in Scars of Morodin green splicers, but the best splicer was white. So I'm expecting to see another splicer that can partner with this splicer that will be like a tribal lord for golems. But I love how golems are getting some cool tribal support, and I'm really hoping to see more tribal support in this set. Maybe a 5-color dinosaur. So we'll see. So, if you want to wait for the official release before hearing about any more spoilers, my next video will probably also continue to talk about some of the new cards that have been leaked or spoiled, and also some of the returning cards that I find interesting that have been spoiled. But once again, thank you for watching. This is Magic with Class, always reminding you to gather with class.